So welcome to a video where I poke at big wooden boxes once again. This time I got two new games. So I got Asteroids and Centipede from the same place. I already did my work on Centipede, so I'm not going to really do anything about that. This thing had a K4600 in it, and if you know anything about arcade shit, you know that thing is a pain in the ass. But yeah, Centipede has a little bit of a funky cosmetic work on it, but I'm not gonna worry about it. So today I'm going to do some work on Asteroids. This one has had a problem. I had this crack all the way across the side of the cabinet. I filled it with glue and reinforcement from the inside, and we'll see that here in a bit. And then part of this control panel was just like painted black, so I had to like use sandpaper to get rid of that, but then I'll probably paint that black. Whatever, just minor cosmetic crap, but I'm going to work on the electronics of this thing. And yeah, it's pretty cool looking inside. So I guess making a video replacing big blue power transistor on the power supply and some monitor recap adjustment goodie stuff. So this is an Atari vector game, and as we all know, that means it's a vector game made by Atari. And that also means that it likes having clean power, so old Big Blue here's got to go. Replace it with one of these, because those are better and newer. I've already had like 3 different Atari games where the power supply did not function because of all the ripple this thing was letting by, so it's just better to replace it and be done with it. This is interesting. I have not seen this before. Usually these power bricks will have a bridge rectifier like bolted to the top right around there, but this one has a different kind of rectifier, just with 2 diodes, and we're kind of nasty there. That's kind of gross. Good thing those bolts and those washers are being replaced. Hopefully these connectors aren't corroded out. These are pretty simple to get out though, once you disconnected everything from the bottom. Orange is positive, I think. You just loosen up all the screws around there so this clamp can move around. I think you have to take one out. Somewhere. How to use screwdriver. And just loosen this up. That's a 2-hand operation. And you just pull the stupid thing out. Just remember which direction was what. Positive being towards this transformer here. Yeah, 27,000 microfarad. That's a big boy. 15 volts. We're switching up to a 25 volts. Apparently these are made specifically to replace these. Kind of neat. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be using these again, these nasty bolts, because due to how these connectors are, how they have this little bump here, and that'll make a gap that we want to cross to contact the back side of this board where the pads are. We'll have to use a washer, and these washers don't come off. These screws are too short, and that's not going to quite work. Hopefully the threads are the same though. They should be. Let's try it out. It's kind of a pain in the butt to get the screws through here, then the washers, then all the wires. You have to do both of them at the same time and shove it on there and screw it in, so you have hardly any clearance to see what's going on back there. Now I really should replace these fuse holders. They're pretty grody, but yeah, screw it. I'll do that eventually later when I get to more cosmetic-y shit, because it still functions. There's a little bit of like rust, surface rust on here. I'd probably wipe all this stuff off. Came with the little plugs here for adjusting it to different line voltages, but we only need this one because that's the one we use here in 120 volts land. I'll leave this unplugged for now so that I'm not hooked up to power. Alright, so this is an Atari audio regulator, whatever, AR, RA, whatever the fuck you want to call it. This takes the rectified voltage from the power brick you just saw and regulates it and it also amplifies the audio for the speaker, so there's a couple audio amps here. I think that's for like 12 volts or something like that. And this is the main power transistor for the 5 volts, which is where you're going to be changing, as you can see. The thing has a date code of 1980, so this thing's 42 years old. And these things have a certain failure mode that where these can short, I think it's collector to emitter, and that would send a good unregulated 10.3 volts DC straight into your game boards, destroying everything, and fuck you. So we changed these out apparently, and that's what I'm gonna do. And also, while we're in here, we're gonna reflow the connectors because these are always nasty. So all you got to do is really just take these nuts off here, and on the back, these screws are soldered in for the ground or whatever. No, that's not ground. That's, I forget whether that's collector or emitter on those bottle cap transistors. I don't really care. But you just got to desolder that and then make it go through. You can see we got a little bit crusty here. I don't know. Yeah, that needs to be looked at. I don't know what that diode is doing, but it's getting pretty fucking toasty. Maybe that's, I don't know what that is. So, as you can see, this solder here, not looking the best. I don't know how the speaker was working because these are pretty fucking bad right here. You can almost see me wiggle this. Look at that. Yeah, those are bad. So it's just a good idea to reflow these anyway. So I'm gonna do that. As you can hear, I have a little bit of Satch playing in the background. I mean, if they want to copyright strike me or whatever the hell and take the half a cent I'm gonna make off this video that I don't make because I don't monetize my videos, they can fucking have it. If you don't have an ad blocker on, you should have one. I recommend it for every site. So I would use my fancy desoldery suckery, but as you can see, my tip is not big enough to handle that. So additional tools are required. Get some of this regular old solder braid out here. Get some nice flux on it, because this just doesn't have the nice flux on it, I don't think. It just does better when you put that stuff on there. Alright, that should be good enough. Or maybe not. They're not attached to the solder pads anymore. There we go. Good stuff. That's the old guy. This is the new guy. He's from 2020. From the future. Here to save my game boards. So this pad in here is still good. I can use that to isolate the outside the transistor from the heat sink and provide a little bit of heat sinking, I guess. Thermal conductivity, blah blah blah. Get in there. Okay, having these bent doesn't help. There we go. Oh shit. Guess that wasn't soldered on very well now, was it? I should also be using thicker solder. There we go. I'm covering the whole pad. That makes it look better. It's all about looks. It doesn't matter about functionality. No one cares about that. So there's a new power transistor for regulating the 5 volts. And thus preventing us from killing video games. So I wonder what's up with this diode that's all cooked out. We're gonna reflow these things here, so now I can use this to hopefully get on there. Ay, ay, ay. Maybe not. That thing's still not big enough, I don't think. Yeah, this that's designed for small things. This is too big. I'm going to turn this off. Kind of crusty looking. Time for meterage. We're going to meter it. Man, that sure seems dead. So it appears that this diode here is for letting current go from the negative sense line to ground for some reason, and that got burnt up somehow. I'm not entirely sure how that works, but I'm not sure if the sense shit on this is going to work correctly without that. So I'll just do the sense mod, which some people poo-poo and some people like, but it'll keep things consistent until I can get the proper diode. And this is a reversible mod anyway. All you gotta do is just jump positive sense to 5 volts, and then negative sense to ground. Which is not really a big deal. Just makes it so that the regulator can't self-adjust its own voltage to keep 5 volts consistent on the game board. So now the 5 volts should not self-regulate to compensate for the voltage drop across the edge connector. So I'll just manually set the 5 volts. So let's reflow this last one for the AC input, I think that is. Or no, not AC input, this is not a freaking rectifier, this is a regulator. All nice and clean, cinch modded. Let's see if this pot moves. Yeah, somebody broke the glue, that's good. We're gonna have to adjust that. Alright. Let's see if this thing works. Shit. So we're gonna test this sucker, and what we're gonna do is just unplug everything. Well, I'll need the monitor to come on anyway. Game board's disconnected. We'll plug all this shit in. We're gonna leave the game board disconnected for adjusting our 5 volts so that we don't fry anything with my wiggly pot here. So I got these things. These are pretty cool. Hell yeah, clipper. So what we want to do is go over to here. Where the hell? Aha, there you are. 5 volts DC. Clip onto that. Grab the other one. Go to ground. Okay, then we want to plug in the AC because that was my little interlock, I guess you could say, since everything is still plugged into the wall. So game board's disconnected, monitor's not going to turn on. Everything should be happy. That should be secured and all plugged in, all grounded, all good. Got everything plugged in here. Everything is all disconnected to prevent unintentional damage. So we'll turn it on, pull the interlock. Got a bit of buzz. It's probably from the lack of a signal. But we got 479 over here. That's down. That's up. Slowly but surely. Why doesn't this stay on for very long? That's really obnoxious, actually. So now we're safe to plug in the game board. It is 5 volts. I'm gonna leave the monitor disconnected still. Alright, so now we're going to check the voltage at the game board so we can adjust it up to compensate for a voltage drop across the connector that I did clean earlier, so it shouldn't be too terribly bad. Let me turn on a light. Where is 5 volts? There should be. I should really replace these. Where'd it go? Ground. 5 volts. Test points. Alright, so low voltage. Let's go up. That's quite a bit of voltage drop on the connector. That's going to need to be gone. Wow. That should be up there. Reset it. The game should be running with no picture, and it is. It has some buzz now. Maybe that diode was doing something. Maybe I should shove it back in there. I don't know. Maybe that diode does do something, even though it's dead. So maybe instead of ordering new parts, I can steal it off of my little friend here. I know I've stolen a couple diodes off this thing before. I think I stole that one there. So maybe one of these do the trick. Well, let me look up the number on this and see if that will be a suitable replacement. So I pulled that out of there thinking maybe that diode still worked, and it was just I was trying to touch it with dirty contacts, but then I pulled it out and then it did that. So I think that thing is pretty much well done. I'm not sure. I might just throw that other diode in there just to see. It could end in disaster, or it could work. We'll find out. So I installed that other diode, and that's a fast recovery diode, so it might have some different properties, but I don't know. We'll see if it blows up or not. I don't fucking know. Still buzzing. 5 volts. I don't know what I did to cause buzzing. Maybe the sense mod did it. I don't fucking know. It's probably not the rectifier though. I mean the regulator. Yeah, it's still buzzing. That's the kill yourself button right there. Hell yeah. Well, I'm gonna order the correct diode and then undo the mod later, and hopefully that will fix that. That's just a temporary issue, I guess. But yeah, with the sense mod there should be absolutely no current going through that diode, because that line and that line that it's connected to are directly connected on the back of this connector, so it's not going to be setting on fire anytime soon, so whatever. So it's got a little bit of hum for now. We will take care of that later. So now the game is functional. Time to do monitor servicing after I get some food, because it's noon. So this is where it becomes a pain in the butt. Let's get this thing off here. I'm gonna do it with one hand so everything can fall apart. Yeah. This is not glass though. All the rest of the Atari games have glass. That's plexiglass. So yeah, that's a monitor, all right. You can see there's a bit of a dot. Got a little bit of burn. Alright, so underneath, this is secured very well. You can see there's a bolt here and a bolt there. And that's it, because screw you. So this is a nice thing about this black and white vector tube. Its deflection angle is pretty sharp, so it doesn't stick out a freaking mile like the color 19-inch tubes usually do. We gotta pull that off of there. But in order to do that, let's get the the fun tool out. Stab it. So obviously before you take the anode cup off, you want to make sure it's discharged. I don't think this thing self-discharges. I'll probably just pop it off. Okay, yeah, it's just coming off. I don't think there's anything in there. There's no voltage. Those are kind of a pain. Kind of sticky, gooey, greasy bullshit. We gotta clean that off. That's kind of... I don't know what kind of funky grease they put on there, but it is known to cause arcing or whatever. That's kind of trying to come off. Yeah, we'll clean that up around there. This is a G05-801 monitor, so it's the older of the black and white vector monitors. And it's kind of robust. It's got big filter caps for deflection and shit. Now, maybe it's not just deflection, it's other stuff. You got heat sinks and all the rectifiers and all these transistors for the deflection. Big old heat sinks for, I think, voltage regulators. Big old heat sink for the deflection transistors. That's really nice, instead of just mounting it onto the frame and using the frame as a heat sink. This thing is very robust. Yeah, this thing is super modular, really easy. I didn't even have to take the socket off. Super easy. Just take all the boards off. All the has connectors. I'm sure these connectors could probably be an issue in the future, but I don't think I need to reconnect or redo these. I'll just clean up the connections and make sure, or reflow the solder joints. Make sure it's not too front heavy and it's not going to fall over on me. But yeah, very modular. Try and get as much of that goo off as possible. So I guess the first one to tackle here is just the deflection board. Cat kit. There's only a few caps in here. So we got hot glue on all the pots. I'll need to adjust the linearity pots. Why is there 4 linearity pots? I guess one linearity pot per deflection transistor, so I have to do both top and bottom separately. And then left and right separately. Oh, that's interesting. That's different than the 802 and V2000 monitors that I've already had to mess with. I wonder what this is all about. I guess I'll just mark where the red dot is. I'm not entirely sure the orientation of this one. So instead of any useful markings on here, it just has a red dot. I'm not entirely sure if that's supposed to be negative or positive, but it's one of the two, I guess. Uh-oh. You're plugged. So the moral of the story is that when you lose your cleaning pokey prodder, you don't have the, you don't get the privilege of using fun toys. Back to basics. Alright, so that was positive. I'm glad there is markings on here. Although it's not like all is lost if there wasn't anyway, because I can always just look at the schematic and figure it out. I'm gonna make sure I'm not bridging any connections, because that would be bad. Yeah, I think we're good. So the pots are free, caps, got connectors, so we're done with the deflection board. Let's get on with the big boy. This is the power supply board. This, I really should take it to the fucking yard and hose it. Axial caps in here. Oh, they're down in there behind the big boys. Let's take the big boys off because I got replacements for those. It appears they had some issues before. So these aren't even soldered. This is easy peasy. Maybe. They're kind of baked a little bit on one side, don't they? Kind of neat, big old crap capacitors. These are big boy traces. They soak up a lot of heat. So that's all nice and in there. Let's make sure our connectors, or connector, actually there's two of them, Let's reflow those. Yeah, look at that. Oh, it's kind of hard to see. I think that one's starting to crack around. These two have been reflowed, so somebody had issues in here already. Yeah, that one right there is not looking so good. Luckily, we can fix that right now. Alright, so we got that cleaned up down there. Left a mess on my table, as soldering usually does. So we will throw big new happy caps in there. Come on. Ah, you gotta be kidding me. Alright. The power board is complete. Now all that's left is the high voltage cage, which is right here. That's interesting. Doesn't even have a proper little mount for this. Oh, it's gooey gross. Ugh. At least they put glue on the connector, so maybe I'll have less stress on it and break shit. That guy gets warm. Let's give this thing a good look over. There's 4 caps in here. I have 3 left. Uh-oh. I might not have the right caps for this. Is this a different revision of the monitor that has the wrong capacitors? I guess we're not doing the high voltage. That's, the right parts came with it. It's just that it's not the right parts for this particular HV cage, because here we have 1,000 microfarads, 50 volts. This one right here is another 1,000, 50 volts. This one's 4.7, 350 volts. This one right here is something else. But rest assured, we don't have that. And I don't have 1,000 volt or 1,000 UF caps. So I have 2 1050s on hand. What's this other one? 4.7, 350? I don't have that, I can tell you that. So yeah, I can replace 3 out of the 4. That one I don't have. Alright, so we got back together. First thing I'm going to do is make sure high voltage is right. So I'm going to hook this up and try and stick this in here where it's making contact, but not flipping the stupid cup off. Oh boy, there we go. Plugging in stuff and watching the shit blow up. About 14 kilovolts. That's good. No spot killer. Oh, that's... I don't know about that. Yeah, it's not. Okay, so there was proper high voltage. All my shit is plugged in. Yeah, okay, I'm retarded. Oh, that's the video. Okay, I'm freaking out for nothing. Okay, that's the video signal. I don't need to worry about that. But there was no spot killer as far as I could tell. Hopefully. Well, high voltage is good. So let me not stop scaring myself here and plug this in. Hopefully we get video. Uh-oh. There is no net glow. Did I fuck it up? Uh-oh. I did something here. That's not good. Alright, what's going on here? Where is it? Where's heater come from then? This is a problem. Let me check the fuses. Alright, so I smoked a fuse. That's nice. Let me look into this. Alright, so this is a potentially bad situation. Here we got some documentation about how this works. This is for the regulator board here. And I read through it, and obviously I was thinking about it while I was going to pick up fuses. Safe to assume that the power transistors are dead, and yeah, according to this right here, there's no short circuit protection for Q100 and 101, so even a momentary short could prove disastrous. And so it's safe to assume that one or both of this or that is now dead. So let's get this thing out of here and see what the damage is, now that I probably fucked up my soldering or put something in backwards. I heard some crackling when I turned it on, so I'm going to check for bulging capacitors for, you know, if I put them in the wrong direction or other shit. I don't know. We'll find out. Nothing shorted, so that's a good sign at least. Maybe maybe my transistors are okay. I don't know how I blew a fuse. So it had to be current coming through one of these two pins. I don't know what this goes to. That's AC for something else. Okay, first things first. Those two pins that were extra go to straight to the filament, and the filament voltage actually comes from the transformer down there. So first we're going to see if we have our filament voltage, because if we don't have that, well, we got problems. And I didn't see the fucking heater light. So let's check for voltage. I got this disconnected first, and we're just going to check it for right here. I got both of the fuses removed, so no voltage would get to. If we plugged this in right now, the only thing that would turn on would be the heater voltage. Everything else would be off because all the rest of it comes from the supply here. So I'm going to turn it on. That popping noise I was hearing was the fluorescent light coming on. So we got voltage. So if we plug this in with nothing there, we should get heater voltage and nothing else. Okay, now it's coming on. I didn't know. Okay. That's relieving because I didn't see it at first. That's really good, okay. I scared the shit out of myself because I was looking at it. I didn't see any heater voltage. So, now, I was looking at it. I found the big schematics, the big boy schematics, right here. Those two transistors are not transistors, they are ICs. And they're not shorted, so I might assume that they're good still, maybe, possibly. I'm going to pull the other boards out and make sure I do not have any shorts to ground anywhere. So I think what's probably happened, I either put a capacitor in backwards. I didn't hear a pop, so there's a good chance that wasn't the case. Or I just accidentally shorted something to ground. So I went and got fuses. I was looking at it again, and I finally realized what this is. This is a G05 802 high voltage, not an 801. So that's not original to this monitor. And there is a mod you can make to the power supply, to make it so the 802 high voltage supplies require a higher voltage for them to function instead of the 25 volts that comes out of this one here. And there's a modification you can do to that to make it work. However, that does not seem to be happening here. I powered it on with the voltage or the meter hooked up to that, and it's applying the same 25 volts. So I don't know how this is working at all. I don't know what the deal is with the setup. But I looked around. I looked on the power connectors of these, checked for shorts, looked for shorts between all the pins that I've reflowed. I've double checked the orientation of the capacitors on all these, and everything looks fine. But yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing the fuse was just bad and it died in a very inopportune time because I just don't get it. So where's that going? All right, so the ground is actually hooked up. Okay. Yeah, it is an old fuse, so maybe it was the original fuse, and it just decided it had enough right at the most inopportune moment, made me shit my pants. So it appears to be regulating. Shit, I don't know. I'm fucking fired up. See if it blows another fuse. I don't fucking know. I'm not seeing. Oh, spot killer is on. That bulb is very dim. So I do have shit on the monitor. Let's check high voltage. All right, time for a high voltage test. No high voltage. Okay. So something failed in my high voltage cage. That's unfortunate. All right, I'm gonna take it apart and look at it and see what we got. Well, fun. So I don't exactly remember where I left off on this thing. It's the next day, and well, this thing has done fucking everything from no HV to blowing a fuse to smoking a resistor on the deflection board. I just could not figure out what the fuck was going on because the problem would just move all over the place. And then at one point, again, the filament wouldn't light, and I'm just like, what the fuck? So I took the deflection board out, and all the transistors on the X deflection amplifier, which is the one that had the resistor, the current sense resistor that was burning up. I checked all the transistors and put it back, and all of a sudden I got, you know, my spot killer again, and it's not burning things up. So I don't know, that I was looking at it, I had no filament again. I'm like, what the fuck? Unplug this, check the voltage. Voltage is good still. Plug it back in, and it comes back on, and it has a picture. Blah, 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 blah. So at one point I had, like, you know, the high voltage probe stuck in the anode cup, and I had like the meter on that resistor to make sure there's no like voltage on the yoke that it shouldn't be, and I had like the freaking heat camera on there to make sure it's not burning up and all that. I just had everything all hooked up to this thing and just decided it wanted to work. So my only conclusion that I can come to is I've been fighting shitty connectors this entire fucking time. So, like, you know, I unplug it, plug it back in, all of a sudden I don't have filament. Or I unplug it, plug it back in, and all of a sudden I do have filament. It's like, what the fuck? What's going on here? So, I'll probably hose a bunch of deox in the connectors. I'll buy a new Molex here for that. I think that's a Molex. I'm gonna redo all the connectors. This thing, I'm done with this. I'm gonna put fucking connectors on here, but it is working right now as is, and I'm just gonna leave it as is for now because I'm done messing with it. So, all right, I do hear chatter. There is filament. Should come up with a picture. All right, so I did already adjust the linearity. I did get ahead of myself, but since this is the wrong high voltage unit, it only gets 10 kilovolts instead of the 12 that it's supposed to. And so the picture is going to be a lot bigger than it should be because there's less high voltage pulling the electrons towards the face of the tube. Also, that means that the picture is not going to be as bright as it probably should be. But the brightness is pretty good as is, so I'm not too entirely worried about it. This tube is still pretty healthy. So, yeah, I got the X deflection, or X size, down as small as I can, and it's still going off the edge of the tube there. And that's probably why the linearity was so messed up, because the linearity does adjust like the size of the picture a little bit on the edges. So they probably cranked the linearity down to get it all onto the face of the tube. And even though the picture is bigger than the face of the tube, it's not overdriving the drive transistors, because the drive transistors are getting the same voltage as they should be with a regular high voltage thing. So it's not going to damage the transistors by being bigger than the size of the tube. So, bleh. fuck this thing. So yeah, it's working now. That's as good as the linearity is going to get. You can see that on the right side, the linearity doesn't quite match up with the left side there. It's got a little bit of variation from the two sides. I'm not too entirely sure how they fix that, but otherwise it's not looking too terribly bad. Maybe a little bit, just a little bit wavy there, but you know, a little bit's not going to kill anybody. Shit, oh man, yeah, I don't know. Got my ass kicked by this thing. I'm going to buy all new connectors for her. That's just how it's going to be. So let's reach in here. Turn on Asteroids. Yeah, that's neat. I wonder if I can adjust the focus any. This pot's probably fucking bad too. I don't know. I don't know if I need to really adjust the focus, but I'm going to just try it just to see what the effects are. So, right there. Yeah, that pot's all the way, that's as sharp as it's going to get, which is fine because I don't need it to be super sharp. If you get it super sharp, then it's just kind of thin looking. Yeah, I'm guessing that the focus voltage is not correct also since you know, the flyback is not getting the proper voltage through it. So that means, you know, everything's just going to be low. Focus voltage is going to be low. G2 is going to be low. Everything's going to be low. What a nightmare this thing's been. I'm going to put this back together and then I'm going to deoxy the shit out of the power cable before I put it back on. That way, when I plug it back in, it will hopefully still get filament voltage like it's supposed to. And hopefully it doesn't catch on fucking fire when I do it. So I guess this is how it's going to be for a while. Let's turn it on and hopefully it doesn't catch fire. Sounds like it's working. Should have a picture here pretty quick. And yes, there it goes. Yeah, I'll have to adjust on the monitor a little bit. And of course, wow. There's Asteroids. Kind of difficult playing this with the camera right in front of me, but a little bit quiet because of the hum. Have it turned down. There's a little bit of a graphics glitch going on when you shoot stuff. That might be like a DAC problem or something, I don't know. That's to be looked at later. But it shouldn't kill anything. Oh, I'm horrible at this. Also, this game is really short for me. It'd be better played with a chair. Turn the volume up, but you gotta open the coin door to turn it up, and that would turn the power off. And all the trails that you see are visible in person. It's pretty cool. It's pretty striking how it looks in person. Too bad it's just such a pain in the ass to get working correctly. Okay. So that is Asteroids. Wow.